live, guys. Welcome to Box to Box Football, and I'm back here with a special edition of Transfer Talk. Now, we haven't been here for a while now. We've been relaxing, doing other things, but when big news comes, of course, we got to be there. And to be fair, I felt the transfer window has been a bit iffy in the past few days, past few weeks. There hasn't been that many big transfers going on, but there is a few that I want to mainly speak about. And the first one that I want to touch on right now is Man City and their potential signing, not potential signing, of the signing of Ruben Diaz from Benfica for six. I'm not actually sure how much it is. Apparently it was 62 million. Some people say 64 million with add-ons. I'm not actually sure of the whole contract. But Jack, tell me what you think about this deal.
It's a player I think they've liked for a really long time. It's certainly, there's been rumours of it happening for a really long time. I think he was probably a part of a short list of maybe one or two other names. Excuse me. The interesting thing for me, though, is not that Ruben Diaz has signed, because for me, it's another player in the mould of like an Aymeric Laporte. I think he's going to do very well. I think he'll be the starter to partner Laporte in a back four. For me, the interesting thing is what's going to happen with Koulibaly. Now, I don't know if you want me to keep talking about Ruben Diaz or whether you want to maybe talk about Koulibaly a little bit.
To be fair, because I was going to touch on that. So, Man City have decided to spend 62 million on a defender. Koulibaly was rated at around, let's say, 70 million. Why not go for Koulibaly then? Or around 80 million?
So for me, the interesting thing here is I thought Koulibaly was as good as done, because the player wanted to go, Napoli wanted to sell him. They've just spent, I just checked, so I'm looking at my phone, it was £63 million that Napoli gave to Lille for Victor Osimhen, who's doing very well. I'm not saying that was a waste of money, but I think Napoli, to spend that amount of money on a player like that in a coronavirus transfer market, they were expecting to make that money back. So they were expecting Koulibaly to leave. I think Man City kind of knew that, so they wanted a little less. Keep in mind, he's a little older. And what Man City have done, in my opinion, is the smarter thing to do. Go for the younger player, potentially more upside, a sell-on fee in the future as well, probably lower wage demands as well. And now you've got a player coming in to partner Aymeric Laporte. But the interest for me is, so does Koulibaly stay at Napoli now?
My thing about this whole deal is, I look at it from the point of view of Man City. I felt that they have sat down and they've really done their homework. I feel like if they really wanted Koulibaly, they would have splashed out the money for him. That's not the problem. I think that they have identified a player who is young, who fits the profile of not just Pep Guardiola, of the club in the way the club is going. Them bringing Nathan Ake wasn't for a reason of like, oh, he's just cheap. No, Nathan Ake fed the profile of a Man City player, and that's the exact same thing for Ruben Neves. Koulibaly, as great as he is, the problem with him is that he's 28 years of age.
I think he's 29.
He's 29 years of age. How many great years could you possibly get out of him from a huge fee like 80 million? I feel Man City overall have done right with this deal, because I remember 2 years ago, I picked this player out. I think he was playing in the Nations League for Portugal. For me, Portugal, they produce some of the best defenders in the world. You mentioned Pepe, what's his name again? Bruno, Alves. They've had some great defenders. And I was looking at the kid, exactly. And I was looking at the kid and thinking, wow, this guy is something special. And I remember thinking a previous video a few years ago, I mentioned how I actually identified him as the player Arsenal should have signed. But Man City going in for him right now at the age of 23, I think it's a great deal. Another reason why this deal is also great was that Otamendi went the other way for 13 million. So Man City obviously made a little bit of money back from that. So it's also works both ways there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we agree on this. We can only applaud what Man City have done here. He will be a part of this Portuguese generation that's coming through that can really start challenging for European championships and potentially World Cups. With Ronaldo still there, kind of in spirit. I mean, he's still.
Oh, he's there. He's there. Don't worry about that. He's still there.
Yeah. This isn't the Ronaldo of old, but I think when you look at Ruben Neves, Ruben Diaz, Nelson Semedo, Bernardo Silva, you could name basically the whole Wolves team. There's a lot of those, young Portuguese players who are coming through now, very, very talented, and Ruben Dias is one of them.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on this crazy stat that I just came across yesterday, to be fair. So, take away this signing. Man City has spent 366 million on defenders since Pep Guardiola has came in. You add the 64 or 62, whatever, plus the add-ons that they're going to play for Ruben Dias, it's well over 400 million on defenders. Granted, a lot of them have been fullbacks, but the same Man City have signed a lot of defenders in that time. They don't have enough defenders. It's a bit of an understatement because the amount of money that they've actually spent on defenders in the past few years.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know my thoughts on this. I'm big on environment, what the context of your situation is. And for me, if you're Pep Guardiola, any complaints about any sort of defending issues, that's on you. You've spent 400 million. You're yet to win a Champions League or make a Champions League final with this Man City team. Okay, there's Premier Leagues in there, but I'm still looking at a guy who's spent more money than anybody on defensive players. And saying that you still need defensive players, I think he needs to probably look in the mirror, perhaps about maybe him, his tactics, or perhaps his coaching, because any other manager in the world gets this amount of money, and I'm sure they'd be criticised until the cows come home or whatever.
Again, as I said, granted, a lot of them were fullbacks, but I feel like the style of profile of like defender. Them type of defenders are so hard to find. Them type of ones who are going to play with a high line. It's great playing one-to-one. Manchester United are having the exact same issue with Lindelof. People aren't sure if he's able to play one-to-one. But I just look at that stat right there and I'm just thinking like, wow, he's really got serious investment when it comes to this Man City team. No one can say that they haven't offered him everything that he's wanted.
I do think that this is the partnership, though. This is going to be the partnership forward. I think previously it was just Vincent Kompany and it was just him and whoever he was partnered with, but it was mainly just him. And then it was kind of more Laporte and just what he was doing going forward. We were looking for a partner for him, and then he got hurt. I really do think that if Ruben Dias and Laporte can both kind of remain fit, this could be the best centre-back partnership in the whole of the league, potentially, all of the world. Two very strong players.
Well, we know how much you love Laporte, but guys, we're going to move on now, and we're going to talk about the noisy, not the noisy neighbours, the main neighbours, Manchester United. And it's been a bit of a weird time for these guys. Jack promised me that Jadon Sancho will be a Manchester United player, and it's almost came out today. That's not happening. Now, everyone could talk about Ed Woodward and what's going on. I don't want to get involved with that right now. But I want to talk about a potential deal that possibly could happen, and that's Edinson Cavani joining Manchester United. Also, they're also linked with Jovic from Real Madrid. But I mainly want to talk about this Cavani deal. They can get him on a free. He's 33, 34 years of age. Jack, what do you think about this deal?
I think there's potential for it to have a similar level of impact as the Ibrahimovic deal back in 2016, 17. What guy, proven goal scorer across multiple leagues. Really very desirable striker at the peak of his career. Talking about 100 million plus, I think, when inquiries were made for Cavani. As a stopgap over a season or two, I don't think it's too bad. He's going to want to be the highest or one of the highest paid players at the club, so he is going to want that 250 to 350,000 pound a week range, which Manchester United might be able to do. I've gotten rid of Sanchez, gotten rid of a few other players. Supposedly Andreas Pereira will be leaving as well. I think Lazio have all but confirmed that he'll be going. Chris Smalling hopefully making his way to Roma. So I do think there would be space for Cavani. I don't love it, but if his goals are the difference between Manchester United making top four again, not making top four, I think you do it. Moving on to Jovic. You're potentially getting a player who's really struggled. And I think that if you can, nail in quite a low option to buy a clause in at the end of the loan, Manchester United could get a steal. You know, this when Jovic was at Eintracht Frankfurt, he was absolutely banging in goals in the Bundesliga. That's the whole reason he's a Real Madrid player right now. And I think if you can help him rediscover that, it's only going to be beneficial for Manchester United. Touching on Sancho very quickly, crazier things have happened. My confidence is just dive bombing right now. I really don't feel like it's now going to happen after all that I've heard. But what I would say is history has told us that Ed Woodward and the Manchester United board do this whole thing of, we're going to get him at a discount deal, we're going to get him at a discount deal. And then they pay the money for a Paul Pogba. They pay the money for a Bruno Fernandes. They pay the money for a Maguire, for Wan-Bissaka. Let's just see what happens.
Interesting you spoke about the Cavani deal, and you said, oh, it's all right. I genuinely do believe that Manchester United get Cavani. I think it's an amazing deal for both parties. Cavani, I thought he joined Benfica. I don't know. I don't know where I got that from, but now he's a free. He's still a free.
There was a lot of reporting that was going to happen. And then I guess at the last minute, Cavani pulled out because there was potential interest from other teams. But no, I'm the same as you. In my head, he was a Benfica player for this year.
And apparently now he's still a free agent. I look at the player. I genuinely do believe he still has the desire to play at the highest level of football. And Manchester United is definitely one of them. I look at the Manchester United squad and how does he fit in there. Manchester United have already identified that they have Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford, and those are their main guys. And they want to see them develop into an all-time great partnership. By bringing in a top player, that kind of hinders them. Bringing in Cavani for a few seasons, it's a player that, he can step in when we need him to, but he can also take a step back too, because Cavani doesn't have a big ego. Remember the time in like PSG with the Neymar thing? He didn't step to Neymar. He took a step back and said, if he's going to be like that, that's what it is. I look at his movement. I look at his finishing ability. He can use that experience and help these players grow, like a Greenwood, like Martial especially, who seems to be Manchester United's main number 9. If he can help him with his movement, and he can help him with his finishing, I think it's going to work out brilliantly for both sides. And plus 20, 30 goals, perfect.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, I think looking at the one concern I would have is the money that he'd be asking for per week, which is going to be a lot. But I think that
no fee. They're not paying a fee at all.
There's no fee, but what I would say is, and you've already illustrated nearly all the points, that he's worth his weight in gold, really, in terms of the experience and the teaching that he can give to these younger players. I think a concern would be, if I were a Manchester United fan, and to all the Manchester United fans out there, the concern I think would be, are you going to put Anthony Martial's nose out of joint? Anthony Martial's now been at the club for, it feels like really long time. What is it? 5 years? Yeah, 5 years. So he's been there a long time, and I think he finally feels like he has this chance to be the number 9 centre forward straight through the middle. And you're going to bring in a guy who's in his mid-30s, who's just going to jump in, and you might have to play left wing again. I don't know how that's going to sit with somebody like Martial. But apart from that, I do agree with you, especially on a free transfer. Okay, wages, I'm sure you can incorporate that, but I'd imagine that would be a really good deal for him on a short-term basis.
Yeah, and if it's both teams, I think if Manchester, Ed Woodward has had a bit of a shocker this transfer window, but I think he really, really needs to get this deal done. But we're going to move on to the last one, and we spoke about him a few weeks ago, and it just seems that this is going to rumble all the way down to the final day. Talking about my team, talking about Arsenal, and their potential move for Houssem Aouar. Now, watching the Liverpool game yesterday, Liverpool totally outclassed us. Don't leave the referees out of it. Liverpool were by miles the better team, but it was a glaring thing that Arsenal were missing, and that was Arteta wants to play on the ball football. Yeah, he wants to play out from the back, and especially the midfield is very important in that. We had Xhaka and Elneny in there yesterday, and the lack of creativity into the front man was just non-existent until Dani Ceballos came on. We lacked creativity a lot as a team, especially in the first 3 games of the season. Houssem Aouar is a very creative player. I think it's a deal that must happen, and hopefully it does happen. But Jack, tell me what you think about this deal.
Uh, I think it will too, to be honest. Lyon are one of the teams who are more so affected by coronavirus and by the financial impacts of the pandemic. There's a reason why the potential fee for somebody like Memphis Depay is so low, even though for what he represents and what he is. I think there's a reason why he would potentially be able to go to Barcelona for that fee. That seems to have calmed down now. I thought that was all but done. And Aouar, I would imagine it's the same thing. I think the quote that we've all been seeing is that Arsenal's first bid was timid, which means that Lyon want more money. I think that as closer to the transfer window as this one gets, if Arsenal just kind of hold their nerve a little bit, maybe offer a few million more here and there, maybe some incentives if he hits a certain number of appearances or goals or something, I would expect it to happen. I agree with you. I think it is something Arsenal need. The centre of that midfield certainly is a weakness, in my opinion, at this point. And also from the great Fabrizio Romano, here we go. Lucas Torreira is in talks with, I believe,
he's actually. Lots of reports have already rumored that he's already in Madrid, to be fair. So he's already in talks with them. He's in Madrid. It seems like the deal will happen. I feel like it's just like Arsenal is still waiting on Hassan Aouar deal to kind of go through. And I think they're still holding off on maybe we can get a deal for Partey in there too.
I think that deals for outgoing midfielders only mean that a midfielder is coming in. That's all I'd say. You have to look at, I think it's very important for fans to try and connect the dots because, media outlets, sources will give journalists what they want so they can get something. So agents will give reporters something so that it benefits them. Clubs will give reporters certain things so it will benefit them. You see what I mean? It kind of, you need to just see what actually has confirmed to happen. So for me, Lucas Torreira exiting the club, it would signify to me that Arsenal have an idea of somebody coming in.
Yeah, I genuinely do believe that Arsenal are kind of playing a waiting game here. They do see Lyon as a selling club, and I feel like Lyon are desperate to sell him because to be honest, the whole French league have been affected by not completing the season last season. And I just look at Arsenal just waiting on and just seeing, can we just slowly but surely lower the price down to the point where it's convenient for Arsenal and also Lyon too. But yeah, guys, if you have any other transfer deals that like you want to talk about, comment down below. Let us know what you think about the deals that we've spoken about today. Thank you for watching, guys. This is Box to Box Football, and we will see you next.